brother down. With Shizzy, Wiz, Nut, Nut.
An open letter voluntarily vanished, the case that quietly crawled into its own grave. Well, would you look at that? After all the noise, all the look at me interviews, all the breathless speeches about truth and justice, the grand legal masterpiece just folded quietly, like a cheap lawn chair someone left out in the rain. No trial, no ruling, not even the courtesy of a half-hearted motion hearing. Nope, it ended with the simplest way possible, a neat little voluntary dismissal. And here's the part that really deserves a golf clap. It wasn't even hidden behind some technical excuse like, oh, we just had jurisdiction issues, or don't worry, we'll file stronger next time. Nope. It was just one clean, lonely line from her own attorney, MFer, saying, plaintiff voluntarily dismisses his complaint against all defendants. Done. Over. Like it never happened. Oh, except it did happen. And it was loud enough to serve its short-term purpose. It gave the illusion of action. It gave the group chats and live streams something very juicy to wave around like a trophy. See, she's suing and go. There must be something there. And that's all it was ever meant to do. Exist long enough to feed a narrative, then quietly limp off stage when the spotlight dimmed. But let's not forget the timeline, because it does matter. May 19th, filed a lawsuit loaded with every dramatic buzzword you can imagine: defamation, emotional distress, cyberstalking, conspiracy, legal mad libs for internet sympathy. June 16th, admitted in court filing she didn't have even served anyone. Think about that. She didn't even bother to take the most basic step required to make the lawsuit real. July 17th, poof, voluntarily dismissed. No one beat her. No one crushed her in court. She just folded her own hand and walked away like it never happened. And now here's where it gets funny. You already know exactly what the next act will be. She'll slide into the victim's script like it was pre-written. Watch for it. He's retaliating against me. I'm being silenced. The crocodile tears will flow. The live streams will multiply. The Cash Apps and GoFundMes will magically appear. And suddenly this voluntary dismissal will be spun as proof she was bullied out of pursuing justice. The same people who cheered her on for filing now will rally around her for quitting. Because in the grifter economy, losing is just as profitable as winning if you sell it the right way. But let's be clear, this wasn't losing. Losing implies you were actually in the game. This was never that. This was legal theater, a stage prop for optics, a set piece designed for screenshots and a headline. It was never about seeing the inside of a courtroom. It was about planting a flag on the public docket so it looked legitimate just long enough to weaponize it for content. And now that that filing served its PR purpose, it was discarded like an empty coffee cup, leaving nothing but a timestamp trail for anyone who actually bothers to read it. And why does that matter? Because the voluntary dismissal is proof of the pattern. It's the moment where the mask slips. It shows this was never about the law. It was about optics. And now, hilariously, the same empty case that was supposed to hurt her target is turned into Exhibit A for why she's now being sued for malicious prosecution and abusive process. The prop became the evidence. That's the irony. And yet, mark my words, she won't own that. She'll say, yeah, I filed something hollow for clout and now it backfired. No. She's not going to say that. She's going to spin it and she'll blame him. She'll paint herself as the innocent truth teller being attacked by the big bad Jeremy villain. She'll clutch her pearls, say she's being punished for just trying to speak up. Predictable, tired, and insulting to anybody with a memory longer than 48 hours. So don't blink, don't miss the pivot, because right now the narrative is shifting in real time. The same crowd that hyped up her filing will now hype up her retreat. And meanwhile, the record just sits there calm, permanent, louder than any live stream. So let's just zoom out for a second, really look at the anatomy of this grift. It begins with the filing itself, a document stuffed with every dramatic claim the internet loves. Defamation, check. Emotional distress, check. Cyber stalking, sure, why not? Conspiracy, of course. It read like the greatest hits list for victim branding. But here's the detail that separates the real case from a PR stunt. Nothing after that first filing actually happened. She didn't serve the defendants, not even once. And on June 16th, she quietly admitted it in a motion. That's not strategy, that's a tell. It's the legal equivalent of posting a flyer for a boxing match and never showing up to the ring, because deep down it was never meant to be fought. It was meant to exist just long enough to be waved around for attention. Because the inevitable happened on July 17th. Voluntary dismissal, signed, sealed, done. Not dismissed by a judge, not tossed because it was a challenge, dismissed by her own hand. No drama, no pushback, no fight, just a surgical retreat. And in that moment, the entire illusion collapsed. Because here's what the timeline really says. It was filed for maximum shock value, dragged out just long enough to milk the attention, never served anyone because serving means someone could actually respond, dismissed at the moment that it was no longer useful. That's not a lawsuit, that's a press release with a case number attached. But here's where it flips, and this is the part she won't mention while she's playing the next victim card. The same hollow case she filed for clout is now evidence. Evidence that she had no probable cause, evidence that she used the courts for an ulterior motive, evidence that she abused the process not to seek justice, but to give her allegations an official stamp she could exploit. And that's exactly why the tables are turning. And you already know the talking points are coming. She's going to act blindsided. Oh no, now he's coming after me. I'm being punished for speaking my truth. Watch how fast the narrative shifts. Watch the donation links appear, framed as a brave defense against the very monster she herself provoked. It's the same tired pattern every time. Make the noise, duck the accountability, cry victim when the accountability finally arrives, milk the sympathy for content cash, repeat, rinse, repeat. But let's not really forget what's going on here. This isn't about silencing anyone. This isn't revenge. This is about holding someone accountable for using the legal system as a social media prop. Because when you file a case for optics, it's not just embarrassing, it's harmful. It costs time, it costs money, it damages reputations, and yes, it is actionable. So the boomerang is in the air right now. When it hits, it won't be about this one lawsuit. It will be about the pattern, the paper trail, the motive spelled out in her own words, the voluntarily dismissal that she thought would erase the stunt, but actually cemented it. And meanwhile, the same people who hyped her filing will pretend this part never happened. They'll ignore the dates, they'll ignore the dismissal, they'll ignore the fact that she never served anyone, they'll ignore the doxing campaign that she went on. And they'll happily push the he's harassing her narrative, because grifts don't survive on facts, they survive on feelings. But here's the beauty of it. The docket isn't emotional. It doesn't spend to spin. It doesn't care about live stream sob stories. It just sits there, permanent, timestamp, impossible to rewrite. And that's why this moment matters. Because for once, the record is louder than the performance. So let the next act play out. Let the victim monologue roll. Let the sympathy posts and donation links flow. It won't change the truth, because at the end of all this noise, it still comes down to one unshakable line. Voluntarily dismisses this complaint against all defendants. That's it. The truth under all the smoke. No live stream, no victim monologue, no fundraising plea can rewrite it. So yes, let the grift continue, let the script play out. The boomerang that was set in motion the day she filed for clout, it's already halfway back. Signed, Shizzy Wisnut, still Velcro shoe wearing short bust passenger who trusts the docket over performance every single time. And always your motherfucking daddy.
It is about time. Let's break this mother down. wit, shizzy, whiz, nut, mud.